This shop makes over $65,000 every single month selling wall art designs just like these. And tons of other shops are doing this too, and we're able to make designs just like these using AI. I've done over $25 million in sales using this business model and was even able to build a brand that I was able to exit from. I'm talking about the world of print on demand, which is a business model that requires no money to get started, and the barrier to entry has never been lower thanks to AI. For example, while it took me several years to build my brand Yoga Stay to a point that I was able to sell it, I could have done that in a fraction of the time had I been able to use AI. So to get started, you first really need to understand the earning potential of the business model we're talking about. So looking at this store here called North Prints, they sell canvases, and one of their top products is this vintage wall art set, which sells about 726 units per month and does about $13,000 in sales every single month from just this one product. Now obviously this isn't all profit, and we'll get into that in a second, but you can see that these are just fairly simple designs that we're able to use AI to make very similar ones that are even better, which we're gonna do in just a sec. Here's another product listing they have, their European gallery wall prints, which does about 380 sales every month and does over $7,600 in sales. And again, that's just one product, and it does that every single month. And then lastly, their French country wall art does 288 sales and brings in a modest $4,500 every single month. Now, since they're selling canvases and these three listings alone bring in over 1,400 sales, you might be thinking, that's a lot of canvases. I know it's bringing in $26,000 in sales, but that's still a lot of work to manage that and to get them out the door to the customer. And you'd be exactly right, which is why all of these sellers are using what's called print on demand, which is essentially like normal drop shipping, just we work with one specific supplier called Printify, who carries a whole catalog of white label products that we're able to put our own custom designs on and make them feel like branded and unique to our company. Printify will print, pack, and ship it and send it to our end customer. Leaving all that we have to do in that whole equation is come up with the designs. And in the past, that process would have taken us a long time. Would have had to find a designer off of Upwork or Fiverr, come up with the concepts, and then go back and forth with the designer, and then finally edit them and upload them. It all takes a ton of time. But now with AI, we're able to save 90% of that time and a fraction of the cost by using text to image generators, which that's what we're gonna do next. But first, you might also be wondering, why do these sellers choose to sell on Etsy? Why not Shopify or Amazon or any of the other e-commerce platforms out there? I'm glad you asked, and the reason is pretty simple. It comes down to the fact that Etsy has over 450 million monthly visitors. So point being that we're able to list our products on Etsy that are fulfilled by Printify, and when one of Etsy's 450 million monthly users comes to your store and likes the product, that takes care of our marketing for us. We don't have to worry about running Facebook ads or Google ads or any of that, paying huge Amazon fees. We don't have to worry about any of that. That's without you ever having to buy a warehouse, hold any inventory, or fulfill a single product yourself. It's pretty amazing that this is even possible. Now, there's gonna be a lot of people out there that say like, oh, print on demand is saturated, like everybody's doing it, that ship is past. And like, they'd be partially right, that there are a lot of print on demand sellers now. But the reason for that is that there's a disproportionate amount of demand to the number of sellers. And the even better news is that demand is forecasted to only increase over the next 7 or 8 years. Like, look at this chart here. You can see that by 2030, print on demand is expected to continue to grow 20 to 30% year over year, which is insane. Meaning that if we start a print on demand business now, it is still going to be a very viable business for us to be running 7 or 8 years from now. Meaning that even though people started selling print on demand 5, 6 years ago, now is just as good a time as any to get started. First thing we want to do is open up a brand new Gmail account, and this is free and easy to do, and it just helps us keep our business and our personal life separate, and we're going to use it in a second when we set up our Etsy and our Printify accounts. Next, we're going to go to Etsy and scroll all the way down to the bottom and click the Start Selling with Etsy button, and you're just going to go through their normal onboarding using the email that we just set up. And once you get to the end of that process, you can leave it where it is, and we're gonna hop over to Printify by clicking the link in the description below. which will let you start a free trial and create your new account. Now all your orders from your Etsy account will automatically be fulfilled by Printify. It's as easy as that. Now that brings us to my favorite part of the process, which is creating the actual designs. The tool we're going to be using to do this is called MidJourney AI, which if you never used it before and it sounds overwhelming, don't worry. It's basically just like ChatGPT, but for images. And as each version of MidJourney has come out over the past year or so, their outputs have become honestly amazing. Like here are some of the examples you can see on the screen that it's been able to create from just simple text that I've inputted. Now the key to this part of the process is to take that and funnel it into pretty simple wall art designs. Now, how do we do that? What you can do is take a screenshot of one of the products that we just saw, like take North Print's vintage wall art set, for example, that had 726 monthly sales and does over $13,000 in revenue. Then you're gonna go back over to MidJourney and hit /describe and ask it to give you a description of what that image looks like. And it'll take a few seconds, but what it's gonna give you are 4 different prompts that are its best guess at how to recreate that exact image. The thing about MidJourney is that it's only $10 a month to get creative licensing to sell these products. After you played around with it and gotten an output that looks similar to what we were seeing in these other Etsy seller listings, and possibly even better, next thing we want to do is to make it look as similar as possible is for this image, we want to remove the background. And it's really simple to do that by using another tool called Canva. So I'm going to go over to Canva, and using their AI tool, I'm going to click the remove background button, and as you can see, it automatically removes it from the image. Now once I have my upscaled image without the background, next thing I'm going to do is go over to Printify. And like I mentioned before, Printify has a huge catalog of products for us to choose from, and one of these is canvases. So I'm just going to click on the canvas and click the Start Designing button, and then I'm going to use their easy drag and drop editor to put my own design on the blank canvas, simply by uploading it into my Printify account and then dragging it around until it looks good. In this case, I'm going to rotate it so that it's a vertical canvas, similar to the Etsy listing we were looking at. So I'm just going to drag it and center the design, and then I'm good to move on to the next step. That's pretty much all there is to it. And on the next page, I'm given the option to, one, look at our mock-ups that it automatically generates for us, which as you can see here, look really cool. And it gives like a lifelike representation of what our product is going to look like at the end of the day. And then the second part of this page is our product title and description, which the cool thing about our Etsy integration is that anything that we put here in our Printify account is going to be automatically published to our Etsy account. So we want to make sure these sound pretty good. And I'm not a professional writer by any stretch, so what I like to do nowadays, rather than hiring someone off of Upwork to write these descriptions for me, is I'm going to go back over to ChatGPT. And then I get it to write me an optimized Etsy title and description for a canvas print-on-demand product that has the design that was generated with this prompt. Then by giving it the prompt, it's able to evaluate what it thinks the design probably looks like. And then it's able to write this beautiful 3 or 4 paragraphs for us. And then I can just leave the bullet points that Printify automatically populated in there. So I just copy these over to my Printify account, scroll down to the bottom, and then the last thing is our pricing, which we can make a whole separate video just on pricing strategy alone, but a typical rule of thumb is about 50% margin or better at the very least. So if we're getting charged $15 for a canvas, then we want to be charging people $30. We're ready to hit publish on our design, and it'll go live on our Printify account, which will be pushed over to our Etsy account. And now someone can go to our store and make a purchase and get fulfilled just like that in a matter of minutes. Now we could stop there, but the way to really build this business into something that is scalable and can build like a lifestyle brand for yourself and your family. Good news is that the tapestries are honestly even more fun to make than the canvases because AI can make some pretty trippy designs. So just to show you an example of how that works, it's a very similar process, but we're gonna go to a tapestry seller like this one here and take a screenshot of one of their images. Then we're gonna go back over to MidJourney and ask it to describe that image. And again, similar process to what we did with the canvases, but it's going to include some keywords that we don't quite want in there. So just take those out, and after playing around with it for a little bit, I was able to make a design like this, which I then use another AI tool called Photor to upscale. which upscaling is something that was never possible before, but it's basically like in the old CSI shows where you would see them like zoom in on something that's really blurry and it would magically become more clear, which was it was always BS, but now it's actually possible. And AI is able to take your low res like 1080 by 1080 image and make it 4K just by like adding extra pixels. It's pretty crazy. I don't even fully understand how it works, but it does. And so it gives us a higher res version of our file, which is perfect for a tapestry that's going to be like the size of somebody's wall. And once we upscale it, we go back to Printify, go up to the product catalog, choose tapestry, and click Start Designing. Then we upload our upscaled version of this design, click and drag it like before, and hit Next Step. Page, you're familiar with this by now, but we have our mock-ups there to look at. But then down below, we have our product title and description, which thanks to ChatGPT, it's able to generate those for us. And then all it's up to us is the pricing at the very bottom, which again, we can set this to 50 to 60% margin. 50 I would recommend as a baseline, and then you can publish this to your store. Now you have a canvas and a tapestry on your store, and the key to success with this is just quantity. Looking at the market, rinse and repeating, launching new products, and just getting better and better at that, and your prompting and stuff will get faster over time. And while this process that we just went through is amazing and AI is mind-blowing to say the least, as you can see, it still takes a decent amount of time, and it can take some skill to get good with the prompting to get the exact outputs that you want and the types of outputs that are going to sell well on a print-on-demand store. Which that's why we are creating a brand new AI software designed specifically for print-on-demand sellers. Picture MidJourney, but only for print-on-demand. That's what we are excited to be creating for you guys. And here's a quick demo on how it works. As you can see, I have a very simple interface, and I just type in a 1 or 2 word prompt, and from that, it's able to spit out these perfectly optimized designs. This is for t-shirts, but you can do this for canvases, tapestries, phone cases, like you name it. We're adding new products all the time. And the designs that it's putting out have their background already removed, and they get upscaled. And it even generates these product titles for us using AI as well. And then that would be great enough, but it gets even better because with this AI, we're able to connect it to your Printify account so it can automatically upload it and take over that whole side of the process for you too. Like I just generated 8 new designs in a matter of seconds just from 1 or 2 words at the beginning. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about this. Is this something you'd be interested in? Or am I just a print-on-demand nerd and I think this is cool and nobody else does? Let me know in the comment section what you think, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.